Hello and greetings from the Center for Contemporary Mysticism. My name is Joe Irwin, and today I'm pleased to bring a special treat. Our guest is the Irish mystic and international author Lorna Byrne. With only a third-grade education in overcoming severe dyslexia, Lorna's books, including the world-famous Angels in My Hair, have risen to a #1 spot on the British Sunday Times and been translated into over 30 languages. Lorna's story began in childhood when she realized she was able to see and talk with angels just as you and I talk with the people around us. Well, today, in addition to her books and her speaking, Lorna has become a peace ambassador. She works to help vulnerable and marginalized children around the world through her Lorna Byrne's Children Foundation. Lorna is also a catalyst in beginning the Center for Contemporary Mysticism. I'll give you the short version. Back in 2013, Lorna was visiting in Philadelphia and offered to come to St. Paul's Episcopal Church to give a talk about her book and her life. And the rector at the time was the Reverend Cliff Cutler. Now, Cliff had the vision and the insight to wholeheartedly welcome her and even publicize it. And much to our surprise, over 500 people, almost 600 people, showed up to hear Lorna's talk. So that got many of us thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful to have an ongoing program where we can invite people with unusual stories and life's journeys to come and share what they have with us? So out of that, later in 2013, the Center for Contemporary Mysticism was founded. So Lorna has a special place in our heart. The Reverend Cliff Cutler is now retired and living in Massachusetts, and at the moment on vacation in Vermont, but through his tireless efforts, he was able to contact Lorna again and arrange for her to join us in a conversation about what the angels might have to say about what's going on today in our country and around the world. Wisdom from the angels, we might say. So he will lead us in a conversation with Lorna and be joined by Cyndi Smith, who's also a center board member and a psychic herself. So it's a wonderful pleasure to have Lorna back with us. So we welcome Lorna, and I'll turn it over now to Cliff and Cyndi.
I just want to say what a joy it is to see you again, Lorna, and to be able to communicate. I'm up in Vermont. And Cyndi, you're in Pennsylvania, are you?
I'm in Pennsylvania, and Lorna, it's a privilege.
And Lorna's in Ireland.
It's a privilege to have both of you there.
Well, the last time, Lorna, you and I, the first time we met was at the church, and there were 600 people in the church, and there were angels down the side aisles and a large angel in the balcony. And today, with this pandemic, the church buildings have been pretty much empty, or they're just beginning to let people in at a fraction of the numbers that could be before. Tell me a little bit about empty churches and angels, or angels on Zoom calls, Zoom worship like we're having now.
It doesn't matter what way you pray to God, whether it's on Zoom or whatever, that's fine. The angels are always there, and even though the churches may be empty, because they're a place of prayer, there is angels there all of the time.
I like the way I've heard you say that before, that angels are in every place of prayer. There are angels. Yeah, I value that.
Every place.
Earlier in the summer, on June the 3rd, you did a wonderful post on Facebook, and Angels in My Hair, that had to do for the United States with anti-racism, with combating the discrimination that has surfaced. It's been all here all along, but it's kind of been revealed by the pandemic. Tell me about the role of angels in helping to overcome the fractures in our society, the divisions that can be so hurtful.
I know there is so many fractions and divisions, as you said, and the angels are there. Like when the angel said, especially Archangel Michael said, I was to do that post because of what was happening. I just said, okay, you must help me. And And my daughter then edited it for me because, I'm dyslexic, so I'm not very good at that part. And at the time, all as I can say, the words that were put into it were words actually coming from God through the Archangel Michael, to help the world, to help, especially in America, because it was just going crazy over there, and I know it still is. But we have to have faith, and we have to have heart, and we have to do our best not to show dislike or hate for someone else just because they're different. God loves all his children. And I know I did another post as well, talking about the soul. It's only a short one, and that God loves all his children, and our souls are all equal. No matter what, our souls are all equal, and yet humanly we have all these issues with each other when we shouldn't. All that I can't pronounce it, discrimination. Because I'm dyslexic, sometimes it's very hard to pronounce the word. But the angels are helping. I remember when I wrote Angels in My Hair first and being very scared and giving out to God about it and telling him, you better have me surrounded by your angels, and that's it. But one thing I was always told to say to people, when I'd be giving a talk, and that is, we all have to stand up and be counted and play our part for what is right and just for everyone. And I have been saying that, from the very beginning. And just seeing it happening in the world today, not just in America, but all over the world, people, the ordinary people, just, protesting. And I know it's meant to be peaceful, and, signing petitions, looking for justice or looking for the right thing, help, because governments and even leaders, they're not able to make the decisions for the people in the way they used to before. So they need a helping hand. And I would have got into trouble an awful lot about if I said I was praying for a particular leader in the world, they would say, how could you pray for them? But you have to, because if you don't, we don't have any hope for them to listen, to their guardian angel, for them to hear the words of God, to be, to bring those moral and just things into the world, and not to be, just thinking of the material things. What's happening today, even with children, people crossing the sea, people having to move, war, even in America and here in Europe, where, there's so many unemployed as well. But the angels, I can assure you, are helping hugely.
You've raised so many points that give rise to so many questions I have, but maybe Cyndi, would you like to jump in a little bit, because you've had conversations about creating a better world as well.
Yes, I've been privileged to have many talks with Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, and he's kind of shown me a bit of what our future down the road could look like if we can get on board and kind of get into the mindset that this will pass at some point, but there really is a reason for it, and that we need to trust one another. But in the end, he actually took me to the future and showed me what a gorgeous and beautiful place it will be, us all working together, not only in country, but around the world in a very much in a coalition way for so many different areas. And it was magnificent. And I just want people to know that the change is out there and we can create it. It's just the more we believe in it, the more we grab hold to each other's hands and know that this can happen, the faster this can all be. And it's magnificent. And he continues to talk to me and pass on messages. So it's so reassuring to have that.
Well, I know we definitely have a wonderful future ahead of us because God has shown them to me many times. And I know in the books I have written, I would call it, we make this world like a little glimpse of heaven. Mm. And no matter what's going on, I know we can do it. There's enough of people in the world that have goodness in their heart and some that may not have because they have suffered through pain. It's not their fault. We have to have compassion and open arms for them and understand them and not judge them. That's what God is about. That's what the angels are about. And I know that will happen. I just give out to God that it's not happening a bit quicker. That way, constantly I give out to God over that. So I believe we can do it. I know we can because I've been shown we can. But I have been shown, what would you say, some of the futures in a sense that we're not responding properly and we make it hard for ourselves. But we get there. And I think the most important thing is that we get there. And I believe we can get there through love and compassion and hope. All of those really positive things. And I meet so many good people in the world. And I meet those that are hurt. Those that are angry and those that, just feel hard done by. And we have to remember it's not their fault. They have been hard done by in different parts of the world. And the one thing that makes me smile, though, is they have a beautiful guardian angel and they have a soul. And I think that's what we have to remember. No matter what someone is saying to you or what someone has done, we got to remember that they have a beautiful guardian angel and they have a soul that is the light of God, that spark of light. It's only the human part of us that are, that is looking for all of the material things, and the human part that gets hurt and angry over things. But I do believe and know that we can turn this world into a beautiful glimpse of heaven. I have seen it, and I know part of it as well is that we all learn to pray together. I just say to people, I have been with people of all faiths and people of none. They would say they don't believe in God or anything, and yet they all pray. And I would see the angels of prayer there. I would see their guardian angels praying with them. I'd even see the souls of loved ones praying with them. It's just, I think, our human, what would you say, our human blocks that we have put up. Our soul and our guardian angel and God just loves us unconditionally. And I suppose we are being asked to love unconditionally, but we need to love ourselves as well, so we can love others more in that way. And I don't even know if that's answering your question, but I'm telling Archangel Gabriel to keep prompting you in anything that is positive and good for you to get it out there for people to listen. And that's really important.
It is important.
I just say people, you don't just tell people that believe in angels. It's for everyone.
Yes.
God never puts up any boundaries. He never lets me put up any boundaries. So therefore I do get into trouble when someone says, oh, you went to see that group of people and they're Muslims or they're Jews or they're Hindus. or they're, sometimes somebody would say to me, they have no faith at all. Why did you go and talk to them? God doesn't put up boundaries. The angels don't put up boundaries. So I'm actually not allowed to put up boundaries. So I do get into trouble sometimes. But that doesn't matter. I don't think God wants us to be afraid to stand up and be counted and play our part when you see someone being hurt or something injustice, or if you feel, and I know lots of people feel very angry sometimes about people that have come in from other countries under circumstances that are beyond their control. And we have to reach out in love to them, no matter what, just because they're different or they have different traditions or they believe different things. They're all God's children and they all have a guardian angel. I give out to God every day, why doesn't he let everyone see everyone else's guardian angel? Then you wouldn't be saying, oh, that person is bad, or that person, has different culture and everything than I have, and I don't accept their culture in that way. And I'm probably talking too much, Reverend Cliff, so maybe I should let you talk now.
Well, I think, you talk about how easily we can get disenchanted. We can forget about our soul or our guardian angel, and we get disenchanted with politics, with religion. You can go on and on. But I think the angels bring back a sense of enchantment to our life. They give a sense of mystery and wonder and joy. I think that leads toward that little piece of heaven that you were talking about. Can you talk about just how angels sort of help us to get away from our disenchantment with things?
They tell me sometimes they have a hard job.
Yes, yes, they do.
They
have to smile at that we do get so caught up in, all the material things, and we kind of, feel that humanly I have to have all these material things, and we do forget about our soul and our guardian angel, but I do love the way that, lots of parents now that, have had children, they're already now telling them about their guardian angel, or a mother that has just given birth. A lot of them now are asking their infant, they're not saying, here's dada, mama, they're saying, how's your angel?
Yeah.
They're
I love
asking them about their soul, is your soul good today? And that's a kind of like awakening back up to faith, opening our eyes and our ears and our hearts in that way. Because sometimes when I'm doing a talk and, parents bring up children, and the parents ask, can you tell them their guardian angel's name? And I usually ask the child, do you know your guardian angel's name? And some parents get so shocked when the child tells me naturally, Now some children would say, no, I don't know, but I just call my guardian angel my guardian angel. But that can be your guardian angel's name as well. Yeah, we have become so disenchanted in that way with all of the material things that we have forgotten how to live life, how to enjoy it, how to be happy. We forgot about nature. We forgot about the earth, walking barefoot and feeling the grass, and God has given us this beautiful, free, beautiful planet, the earth. And again, we have become disenchanted, as you said. I think that's the word you used.
Yes.
And we have taken our beautiful gift that God has given us, this planet, for granted. So we have mistreated it, thinking, we can tear it apart and all of that. And God doesn't want us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always smile at people when they ask me about the angels and God, and I just say, well, the angels, God has had the angels teach me everything when I'm out in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was out in nature.
I think that's true, yeah.
And we have lost our connection that way. In one sense, we're kind of, I hate to say it, but I suppose because we've got so involved with material things, we're putting them first. We're kind of, young people feel if they don't have material things, they'll never be happy.
Mm.
And they don't know how to live life. They don't know how to enjoy. I just say to people, have you not enjoyed the rain pouring down on you and you getting soaking wet? You should actually feel that life. Because I would often watch the angels, and even though they can't get wet, but they'd make themselves look wet as if the water was pouring off them, in that way. So I think we need to get back to nature.
There's a playfulness to the angels then. There must be.
Yes, there is, like, all of the time they do everything to cheer us up, to make us laugh, to make us smile. I would often watch the angels hold a light in front of someone because they're feeling down in themselves, and sometimes I would often see someone's guardian angel doing that, or another angel coming over with the light and holding it in front of them. And, then when somebody is passing, it's like you would see their guardian angel whisper in their ear, maybe to say hello or give them a smile. Because sometimes a smile off someone, or someone to say hello to, you don't have to know the person, and you could save their life. We have forgotten as well, I think, nowadays, how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've used our phones and our devices too much, and we've forgotten just the human contact of just saying good morning and hello. I loved when you said you talked about the children and how innocent and pure. I taught kindergarten for years, and it was just a delight to deal with young people and that beautiful innocence that they have and how they look at the world through uncolored eyes, and just a happiness that we tend to forget that, how much joy is really out there. But if you can see it through their eyes, you become a different person. And that's, something to remember, that we all are really that child. We just need to find it again.
Like, isn't that what God has said? We need to become like children again. And
yes,
to God, we are children always, but yet we think we're adults because our human body has kind of grown and, starts to age and everything like that. But it is to become like children again, to start to enjoy life, because I know the angels do everything to help us in that way. And even God having me doing this, I'm dyslexic. I have no education at all, but I have the best education because God's angels have educated me, in all the things that God wants me to do and to talk about, and it's still happening. So you never, what would I say? You never know everything.
no,
You never get to that stage, and there's always something new you learn. I find that even for myself constantly, or something that, the Archangel Michael tells me that God has said, what I'm to do today. And sometimes I would give out, in that way. It's like, the time when Archangel Michael, I know it's in Angels in My Hair, came up behind me, and, I was a young mother, busy to two little boys at school and my little girl in the pram, and I got really annoyed with the Archangel Michael. Why did God send you to give me a message today? I don't want to hear it. I'm too busy, And I always remember, pushing the pram and my hands on it and stopping and turning to the Archangel Michael, and in a sense saying, well, what do you want? Come on, I have to go in that way. And he just said, God has a message for you, that again, reminding me that I had to write about God and us, and that's God and the angels. And I always remember saying, but I could hardly even write my name. You know what I mean? My young sons, my children, if there was a letter for school, they would write it. And the miracle there is that the teachers never questioned the letters they would give in. And again, that's a miracle. That's the way God was working. The angels were working. Like, you would recognize a child's handwriting, an 8-year-old's child handwriting, or a 10-year-old child.
Right.
But yet never anything ever came back. So miracles happen in our lives every day.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't notice them, in that way. But I do love the way, God, I'd say it this way, but God is using his angels to help to bring us back.
Yes.
To help us to wake up, because angels are accepted by most religions, and even people that would say, they don't believe in God, they don't believe in anything, but then on the third thing they say is, well, I do believe in angels now, and I just smile, because how can you believe in angels and not believe in God, in that way. And so God is opening the door through his angels, because I suppose over the generations we have seen them as something friendly, something even fluffy, as Father Cliff there was saying. I know I should say Reverend, and I don't have to say
Father Cliff, it's all fine.
So I think just so many miracles are happening in the world, and it is when we listen and have the courage. And I always say, if your guardian angel is prompting you to do something, try and do it, try and get the courage, because your guardian angel will never ask you to do anything wrong. Will never ask you to hurt anyone, or to be mean or selfish, or to do anything wrong whatsoever. Your guardian angel, I always, a lot of adults kind of would laugh when I would say this, your guardian angel will give you that guilty feeling, no matter how good you have got at making it tiny. But your guardian angel, that's where that guilty feeling comes from.
Mm-hmm. You remind me of a story of my son when he was a little boy. He was at the front door with my wife, and he said to her, I don't believe in angels. And she said, well, why is that? And I said, well, if there were angels, you would hear the sound of the harps playing. And so she said, well, have you ever felt sad? And then all of a sudden, you feel better. Maybe that's the sound of the angels' harps. It's, sometimes you talked about the angels holding a light in front of us. Sometimes when we feel sad, we sense that light and that joy again. And as my little boy said, that's the sound of the angels' harps.
That is beautiful. I'll have to tell that story. That's actually a beautiful story. And I think just people need to hear more of those stories. More, because that story holds such a message within it.
Let me ask you a little bit about children. I have been facilitating this little book group with fourth graders, 9 and 10-year-olds. And there's only 3 of the children. One is from an African family, another's a little Latina girl, and the third is a white boy. And it's such a diverse gathering. I wish when I was in school, I had that diversity around me, but I didn't. But it's just wonderful to see children accept one another and see past the boundaries. As you say, angels don't have boundaries. It's lovely to be in the presence of children of such diversity.
Well, I think it's so important that maybe you can get more children to come, from all nationalities, and as they grow, so that they won't get that, I can't pronounce the word, that diversity.
Diversity, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that somehow that will be wiped out again. They're teenagers or 20 years of age.
Yeah.
I know it is going to take time, but if we work on it, let's make the time as short as possible. Because that's so important. Children do accept each other, but sometimes it's the parents or adults, that turn around to them and say, well, you shouldn't be playing with that boy or that girl because they're from such and such a place, or they're refugees, or, the color of their skin. And there shouldn't be. A child sees a child as another child. It doesn't matter. It's just what adults say to them, or maybe a parent was angry or was hurt, or maybe something was passed on to them and they're passing it on to the next generation. I always remember, a few times people have said to me, Lorna, how can you kill revenge? And in a way, that diversity, if I'm saying it right, is revenge that's been passed on for us to keep hammering at, to get, maybe what would have been felt maybe long, long ago, justice for the past. But that's all wrong, and when your skin is white, you are highly privileged. And if your skin is another color, it's like life is completely different. Like, I have often met young men, and highly qualified in jobs, and women. And again, because the color of their skin, they find it really hard. And they could be the best. They could have all A levels or those real high grades. But it's like, companies, put a limit on how many people they will employ.
Part of the
skin is not white.
Yeah, part of the challenge for me as someone who's white is to let go of that white privilege, which is impossible to do completely, but to try. And my guess is that the angels are helping me feel able to risk that and to be able to let go of the privilege that harms so many others, of people of color.
It is hard, but it's a good thing that's happening today, that it's all happening, and please God, we'll all move forward, that we'll all take a big step, that governments and just, it's like the ordinary people, it's like you and me, we have to take a big step.
One of the
but I believe we can do that.
Yes. One of the challenges of this pandemic time, and for children, is the isolation that it has caused, and the insecurities. And what I wonder about is how we can assure children and help them to feel safe with the guardian angel and the soul that each of us has. Is there a message to children in a time of insecurity?
I think this is a very important time to remind a child that they have a guardian angel. And you'd be quite surprised to many children even teenagers will say, well, I learned that in school, but I didn't really think it was real. So that's why it's so important for parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and yourself, to tell them angels are real. Your guardian angel is real. Your guardian angel is the gatekeeper of your soul, and you can share things with your guardian angel. You can tell your guardian angel all your troubles, and I think you will find children will become more open. I have gone to schools, and, when I would say that to children, the hands would go up and, well, I want to tell my guardian angel and the child tells you there and then, and some of the stories they would tell you are funny, but then you would get some that are, oh boy, this child is having a hard time, and then you try to find a way to help that child and that family if you can. So children are very open. I would say to you, Reverend Cliff, tell the children and tell parents, why are we afraid to say we believe in God or a guardian angel? People are actually afraid.
I think they're afraid of sounding silly. I mean, for so long, people have thought of angels as, a decoration you put on a Christmas tree, and they don't take them as real. And I think they're afraid of sounding weak or something to say, oh yeah, I have a guardian angel. They're not going to verbalize it. And so children who do believe and who do know them, they then shut down with that, and they don't take it. They don't believe in it, and they kind of shut it off. And that's a shame, because it's so, for most children, they're very open, and so many of them know them, see them, recognize them. But if they're told, oh no, that's not real, they shut it down.
Yeah, they do, and you have to remember, children are told, it's only what is solid is real, like, anything that is, supernatural, and that's what an angel is, and that's what God is, and that's what your soul is.
Right.
But it's so important to tell children. It's like I'm still meeting children who say, my mom and dad only found out about guardian angels, and I knew, but then you meet the child who says the opposite. I didn't know. Like, or you meet a 16 or 17-year-old, and like, 'cause I get loads of letters, and they tell you, they never knew they had a guardian angel.
Yeah.
Or you would get a young person or an older person, in their 30s or 40s, just saying, why has it taken me all my life to discover that I have a guardian angel and that God is real? And it does seem to change people's lives for the better, because they look on life differently.
They know they're never alone. They know that they're a part of God, and that they're watched over and cared for.
Yeah, you're never alone, because that is one thing. Your guardian angel can never leave you, not even for 1 second. And I always remember saying that the first time at a talk or an interview, and of course it came back even when you're in the bathroom, and I said, yes, angels don't look on us, and God doesn't look on us in that way, but they're right there. You're never alone. And yet I have found, right across the world, people of all ages find that a great comfort, because sometimes a loved one would, there wouldn't have been another human being with them, and they would say, well, it's good to know, I'm so happy that they weren't alone. I always remember that child in America. I don't know what state I was in, and she had her mom with her. And seemingly she insisted that she bring her mom, that her mom would bring her to this book signing. And she was only about maybe 8 or 9, so it's hard to judge her age. And her dad had died alone. He was somewhere where there was war, and he had got injured, he got hurt, and he had died. But the little girl was telling her mom, Dad wasn't alone. His guardian angel was right there with him.
Oh.
And she brought her mom to the book signing for me to tell her mom. It's like for me to prove to the mom that her daughter was right.
For real.
You know, and of course I did. I said he didn't die alone. His guardian angel just held him in his arms, you know, and that was such a relief. And the other thing they had said was, you know, it was a shop that was, they said, a Catholic shop. I never even noticed when I walked in. So I don't know what a Catholic shop is. It looked like a bookshop to me. But they were Jewish. And that was the other thing, because the mom had said, but no, Dad couldn't have a guardian angel. Only Catholics have a guardian angel. You know, but the child was way ahead of her mom.
Yes.
You know, and that's why it's so important for children to know. But teenagers, young people, you don't want to wait till you're dying to discover that you have a guardian angel and a soul.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that God is real. Let's discover it now, and let's change the world and make it like a little glimpse of heaven. Let's stand up and be counted and play our part and show as much love and compassion and do all of the right things. You know, help each other, because we all need each other.
Yes, we do.
And we need all of nature. We can't survive without it. That's why God gave us this beautiful planet, you know, and many other things. But we have to kind of, you know, connect back again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been talking quite a bit about children. I wonder if you could say a few words about your children's foundation.
Oh yes, I have. It's called, I'd love the name to change. It's called the Lorna Byrne Children Foundation. And we're helping children in, I think it is Syria. I could have the names wrong, but we're helping children in Ireland and children in Africa. And we're helping sometimes in cases where children are being abused. We're helping parents to be better parents. We're helping for education for children. So we're actually doing as much as we can. And at the moment we're 5 years. I can't believe 5 years have passed. So that part is incredible. But I do have a children's book coming out in November, the 5th of November. It's probably not coming out in the States, so you'd probably have to buy it on Amazon. Is it one of those?
Yes,
places?
I have a 1.5-year-old grandson, so I have to get that book
You
for
will
him.
have to get it, definitely.
And I have 6 grandchildren, so I will get that book.
Good. I'm delighted, and spread the word, because you always have to. Again, our lives seem to come back to so many material things in one sense, and for the publishers the book needs to sell well so they make money, but so they keep people employed so people can look after their family. It's like it's a chain reaction, you know. So I always tell everybody, because I don't be just thinking of myself, you know, as my own children say to me, Mom, you'll never have money because you're always, you know, giving it away, as she would say, in that, you know, in that way. Because one thing God has always taught me, regardless of what God has given me, and that is, you can't take any material thing to heaven with you. You only can take all the love that's inside of you, you know, all the things that your soul holds on to, all the wonderful good things, you know, because your soul is pure, it can never be contaminated, you know, because your soul is that spark of light of God. You cannot contaminate God, you know, so how can you contaminate your soul? I better stop talking.
Let me ask. I think we're pretty much at the end of our time together. But Cyndi, do you have any last thing you'd like to say or ask?
No, that it's just been delightful and a real privilege to meet you, even through
Same
Zoom
here.
and stuff. And
please, God, we'll meet again.
I hope so. I hope so. That it would be lovely. So, and I thank you, Cliff, for inviting me and letting me be a part of this.
Sure.
And it's reassuring to just know that, the messages that have come through for me that are to be out there for all. They're not mine to keep. They're for everybody.
Okay.
When we're together with a group of people, Lorna, at the end, you oftentimes will just give a blessing. Do you think we might conclude with a word of blessing from you?
Yeah, I'll do that, because this is the way God has said I have to do it now. I will say the prayer that the Archangel Michael prayer, the healing prayer of the angels. But again, it's to remember that this prayer is actually God's words. It's actually God's healing hand, God's light. It's all of that. And when I finish the prayer, I would just say to stay silent for a moment, and I'll put my hands on everyone's head, whoever listens to this spiritually. I won't say a word that you can hear because God has never allowed me to share the words I say. And people will receive the blessing that way, even though I'm not there personally.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to bless myself. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Prayer of thy healing angels that's carried from God by the Archangel Michael. Pour out thy healing angels, thy heavenly host, upon all of the listeners and everyone that is here today. Let them feel the beam of thy healing angels upon them, the light of your healing hand. Let the healing begin, whatever way God grants. God bless us all. Amen.
Amen.
So now I'm going to just do the other blessing in silence. Bless you all.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay. And just thank you so much. I wasn't expecting this at all. So it's just actually lovely to talk to both of you, and to see Reverend Cliff, after, as you said, 7 years, it seems, wow, I can't believe it's that long.
Isn't it wonderful? Yeah.
It is. Technology is wonderful, but we have to reach out to each other as well.
Touch is important. I'm going to turn the tape recorder off now, and then we can all say goodbye.
Lorna, thank you so much for being with us and joining us through technology. Thanks especially to Cliff for helping arrange this and Cyndi for joining in the conversation. So we're grateful for all who made this possible, and we're grateful to each of you who are watching this and are part of the Center family. So we wish you well in the days ahead, and we look forward to seeing you again with another wonderful program from the Center for Contemporary Mysticism. God bless and namaste.